Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back to my mobile studio channel and to Clarabelle. And I've got to say before I go any further that it's been an awful long time since I put any content out on this channel. There have been a number of reasons for it, but before I go any further, a big apology, and I do crave your forgiveness for not putting regular content up on the channel over the course of the winter. There have been several reasons for it, one of them being that I've been busy with the other channel. I've also had my gallery to sort out and work with, and for many of you who follow me on my other channel, that's become a wildlife art channel, which is me going back to my roots basically, and that's what I've been really concentrating on and something that I really wanted to do. Now that all said and done, I've also done a lot more work to Clarabelle. For those of you who have been following the channel for the last year or so will notice that she has now got a new lining to her pop top roof, and indeed the tent has been completely replaced with a brand new Gore-Tex tent from Jarmans. So I'm really happy with the way she looks now. She's pretty much finished. There are a few little bits and pieces that may need tweaking over the next couple of months, but essentially what I started off as a bit of a project, and I've been replacing stuff during the course of the last year or so, it's now complete, and I am so excited. I will show you a little bit of this during the course of the video, but yeah, I'm really pleased. The roof came off the other week, and the company concerned was a local company, and they are CMC from Palmarsh, and they are Rhino specialists, and I gotta say they did a stonking job. They were only 2 days, a whole team worked on it. They took the top off. They even put me in a new shelf at the back there out of good material, not my cruddy old piece of wood that I had up there before. So I gotta say, it really is pucker. Gotta say, I can't say enough. Anyway, enough. I am attempting to do something. I was going to go out this weekend and I had everything planned, but the weather started to look really grotty, so I felt maybe I'll leave it a week and we'll do it next week. But then I got up this morning and it looked really good, and I felt that I wanted to have a go out today. Now the plan, and I've done this before, but the plan is to go to somewhere fairly local where I've stayed over in a previous video, and then in the morning I plan to go to Dungeness, and a particular place in Dungeness I intend to do at least one, if not two, paintings of the home of the film director Jarman. Now it's a well-known cottage, and it is world renowned now, and it is a very typical symbol that features in the Dungeness area and on the retreat of Dungeness. So Jarman moved there many years ago, but he made Dungeness his home. He created art within the garden, on the building itself. I have painted it several times, and every time I do a painting of it so somebody comes along and buys it, it's just one of those iconic subjects that people love to see and own a picture of. So my intention, if I get this right, is I'm going to go to the place I stayed before, which is along the seafront, on the way towards Dungeness. Sleep there tonight, have something to eat, do all of those things, all the van bit stuff, and then tomorrow morning get up quite early and go along to where the cottage is along the retreat. And I intend to do an oil painting and a watercolor, and that's what I always intended to do with Clarabelle, is to go out and film enough information for at least 2 videos. So hopefully we can do that in this trip. I'm going to get off now, so we're going to see what happens over the next 24 hours, and I'll catch you all at the other end of this one. Take care. Okay, but I think I've sorted everything out. And this car park is a little gem really, because it does have space for larger campers as well as small ones, and even private cars. There are toilets open next door all the year round, and what's a bonus is actually free to park here overnight. Look at that space. Brand new Gore-Tex tent, lovely roof inside. I'm in seventh heaven already. It's so good to have this, I have to say. Really chuffed. I'm sure you can tell that too. Catch you all soon. I'm gonna get on, start thinking about doing some dinner. So yeah, see you all later. So what's for dinner tonight? Well, I hope I've got it all sorted out. So in the fridge I have got, what have I got? I think I've got some vegan sausages, and I have got a pack of rice, and I've got some green beans. So that's what I'm going to be having for my dinner. Okay, there's dinner served, but I had a glass of wine planned, so that's still in the fridge. So before this gets cold, so there's a bit of breeze running around, I'm going to eat this and I'm going to enjoy my wine afterwards. So I'll catch you all after my dinner. Yeah, good stuff. Whilst I'm sitting there eating this, I've got such a beautiful view over there of the sea, the wildflowers, and the gulls flying through. Got a beautiful sun evening, which is what I'd hoped when I set out. It doesn't get much better than this, and yeah, so I might even do a little sketch after of that view over there. I did it before, but let's see what happens on this occasion. Okay everyone, well, that hit the spot and none of it's left, and it tasted marvelous, gotta say. And now I've got myself a little treat. I've got a lovely ice cream, which I'm going to sit and enjoy that. Catch you all later. And that's all the simple drawing I really need to do. There's the top of the beach here, but it then goes and descends down to the lower parts of the sands, and this is just the shingle beach. And this is the old, I think the beach used to sort of stop there, but it's continued on. It's sort of migrated out, and so the boardwalk now is no longer sort of at the end of the shingle. Quite amazing how the beach has moved at this point. I'm just going to bring that a little further along. Little platform at the end there. A couple of gulls. I'm going to put a few birds in. There's not a lot happening in the sky. There's an awful lot of yellowish colour from pollution. I'm not going to try and replicate that. So I'm going to use a water brush just for this purpose. And let's just see what we can do. Okay, I'm going to get a bit of colour out. What I'm going to just do is raise that up a little bit. So let gravity take over. Alright, so that's drying off. That doesn't help. So while we're doing that, let's just come in and make a little dark suggestion of some of our seagulls that are flying around. I think it's pretty colourful, it's pretty nice. Now what I will do, because although there's nobody there right now, there has been several people standing up there. I think this is dry enough to allow me to do that. So I'm just going to suggest a figure standing up on the end. Give it a bit of colour, give him a bit of colour, give the person a bit of colour. What I'm going to do with this is put a little signature, and then Dungeness, or should I say Laid Car Park, Dungeness, and that is the 29th of the 6th, 24. Hi guys, but it's pretty late now and I think it's about 10:30 gone and I'm ready to turn in. I've made the bed and I've got a brand new mattress topper on there to try out tonight. Last time I did this it was really uncomfortable, so I'm hoping that this 2-inch topper will make a bit of difference. If not, I shall be going back to the drawing board and buying an even deeper one. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to get it started early in the morning, so I'm going to turn in very shortly and I'll catch you guys in the morning. Have a good night. Talk to you soon. Bye bye. Everybody, and welcome and good morning to you all. It's a brand new day and it's about 7:10 in the morning. I made it through the night and Clarabelle performed well. There is a little issue with the door, so I can't actually get in and out of the slide door easily, so I've got to sort that out in the fullness of time. And unfortunately it's very, very dull outside. I was hoping for some lovely morning sunshine. I'm hoping it's going to clear up. It's very, very dull at the moment. There is no sort of life in the sky and no colour on the land as a result of that. Well, certainly nothing to lift any buildings and things. So I'm rather hopeful that that will change. I've got a nice cup of coffee. Just going to have some breakfast, get tidied up, get sorted out, and I'm going to get on my way and go to Dungeness. And hopefully we can paint Derek Jarman's cottage. Catch you all soon. Okay, everybody, let's go to Dungeness. I think I'm going to paint it from that angle. I mean, it's got to come off the road a little bit. We're here. Let's see what we're going to get done. Hey everybody, well, we are now stood outside of Prospect Cottage. This is the home that Derek Jarman and his partner purchased many years ago, and they made it into a big statement. They arranged the garden in an artistic fashion, and also the house and the inside. Now, I've actually never been inside. I did actually once talk to Mr. Jarman's partner and briefly, but I've never actually been inside the cottage. Now, since both gentlemen have passed, I think the local residents have taken up a collection to secure this property in prosperity, and I hope they achieve their goals. But the gardens and everything about the house itself have been faithfully retained, and I see there is a little bit of fencing now to stop people walking all over it. When I came here last time, people were just walking all over it as though they owned it all, which is quite sad really. There's no respect. But that all said and done, it's changed, and we're here today. I'm going to first do an oil painting of this, and then I'm going to hopefully, if there's time, do a watercolor of the same scene. And I'm going to take a little pan round the whole of the area for you, just to show the beautiful setting that this cottage is nestling in. Okay, so what we're doing now is I'm standing pretty much outside the front of Mr. Jarman's cottage, and I'm just doing a quick pan around, and the wonderful view that you can get from this point on the retreat. And it is a wilderness of stone, to be fair, and all these wonderful flowers, the bugloss and sea cabbage and so many other varieties I'm not even aware of their names, exist here. How they cling on to life, I do not know, but this supported a vast fishing industry in the past, and as you can see, there are both boats out there that are still used, but there's also a lot of derelict hulks out there. As the fishing industry has declined, so too have the need for the boats. So many have just been abandoned and rotting away and are sort of timber hulks. There is actually an old one in Derek Jarman's garden, and when I last saw it, it was still a reasonable looking boat, but now it's collapsing under the weight of its own decay. But there you go, these things happen. Anyway, that's the view from the front, so I'm going to get on and start thinking about painting the cottage. Okay, so there's Clarabelle. The roof is down at the moment, but I'm all set up to start painting Derek Jarman's cottage in oil, and we're going to get underway with that right now. So let's see how it turns out. You can't believe me, I don't think I filmed any of this. Now, I must offer my apologies. I just looked at the camera and it had packed up filming. I don't know how much of this or if any of this has been filmed. If I've lost it all, I do apologize. I can't really start again. Okay, for the color of I'm going to pop in the color of my shingle in a couple of places. Quite a pale whitish color with some violets in there, some quinacridone magenta into that. And maybe a little bit through here. It's gone a bit green. I'm rather annoyed that the camera seemed to have shut down, and I don't know why. Okay, so having lost most of the footage on the sky and the building, I'm putting a warm lightish value in for the stones and using green and red to mix pretty much a dark value for the base of the gorse and some icier colours for the cabbage plants above them. Some greens through here. I'm going to add in a bit of the blue to cool some of those down, especially where we're suggesting the leaves of the sea cabbage is quite a cool colour. And a little bit through here. I said there was one right in the front. Okay, so what I'm doing now is going over the whole of the area with a variety of different greens, mixes with viridian or phthalocyanin, but I'm also using a lot of cobalt turquoise. That is the most exquisite colour, especially when you want to make greens. You can make it with yellow ochre, raw sienna, lemon yellows, cadmium yellows, whichever it is, but I'm using it as quite a cool value with the cabbage plants and in other areas. Just by putting the belly of the brush down, you are sort of suggesting some of those spiky florets on the ends of the stems that give the gorse its sort of prickly sense and texture. Just by doing that, tapping around. Don't go too mad, as I've done, because you lose some of the dark undercolour, which I've now got to try and put a bit of that back in. Okay, I'm still pretty much playing around with the greens, and I'm using a little bit of alizarin in with the greens as well to make those values even darker. Now coming in with a few lighter stripes of green to suggest the green parts of the Viper's Blue Gloss, and adding in just taps of different colour values all over the front garden. Just taps, that's all it is. And putting a few suggested little marks underneath this so that it anchors it into the stones. I think we've done a nice job of the garden so far. What I want to do now is return to the windows. Now this is going to be quite a critical part of the whole painting, so I'm going to have two brushes. I'm going to have a small flat and I'm going to have the rigger. I'm going to mix up some yellow and some Indian yellow, both my yellows. I'm going to sort of somewhat bring my colour back to not cad deep but a cad medium. So all I'm going to do now is just become, as best I can, suggestive. Now I'm going to take that line through there and one through there. It's not going to be a perfect line. Okay, now having mixed up a colour for the windows, I needed to put it on almost in one stroke. So I'm using a rigger, got a little bit of liquid on the paint to make it flow a little easier. And I'm mixing a combination of lemon yellow and cadmium yellow together to give me a right balance of the yellow for the painted version on the window frames of the building. I'm counting out the lines and trying to mark them in so I don't miss any. And I'm trying to emphasize the shapes on the side of the buildings without going too heavy with any individual mark. You do not have to be absolutely pristine and exact. We are merely painting the idea as close as we can. With a bit of blue, type of violet magenta colour into that blue. Just want to suggest the light in that window. I'm going to start putting some of these beautiful pinks and colours in for the planting all over the garden, and of course pinks and reds against these greens just sing. Now I do want to put in that little church of lid, if I can get that to set up. Now I put it the wrong side of that post, but I'm not too worried about that. Can barely see it. Let's suppose you're going to have to know your location if you're going to figure out what that is. Still using the rigger, I'm putting in some of the distant telegraph poles, which are a feature of Dungeness and most of the Romney Marsh. But also I'm putting in some of the detail of the telegraph wires, as well as the cornicing on the end of the building, and also a little work to the chimney. Now I'm using some of the sky color that's remaining on my palette just to cut back in and refine the shapes of the chimney stack on the top of the building. Now I'm just going to be very sort of suggestive of the text that's written on the side of the building. We all know it's there. And for that I'm pretty much just using, I was going to just say I was using some pure blue, but the brown got in the way. It's just suggesting the text. Okay, I'm going to live with that. What I haven't done is the bits of the door. So let's just sort that out now. We are pretty close to the end, and all I'm doing is I's and T's. I've just put the white sign in for Prospect Cottage, although you can't read the writing. And I really am just adding a few extra bits of flowers and a little tweak here and a little tweak there of highlights and bits of information just to finish this painting off. And I think we're pretty much done. A couple of flowers in there, a couple of yellows and oranges in one or two places. Well, I think we're done. I think we've got this finished. A little bit of says that, and it does a bit more my way. Okay. Right, now I haven't put too much variation into the shingle. I don't think it really needed it. It's sort of, just maybe put a few. No, I don't like that at all. Just a few dashes I thought would help, but I'm going to lose those. I don't think they bring anything to it. Maybe a few lighter marks to suggest direction. Okay, with that, I think we're sorted. I'm just going to put my signature on it. Why not? Let's put it in a bit of violet colour. Down here out the way. Okay everybody, well, one painting done in oil, and there's the painting and the cottages there behind me. And I've got to say, at some point the film did turn off. I have no idea at this stage, talking to you now, how much I've lost, or indeed if there's enough film to put something together. I really do hope there is. But my idea now is to stop, have some lunch, and maybe set up for a watercolor. It's closed in weather-wise, unfortunately. I knew it was going to happen at some point, and it has happened a little quicker than I really thought it was going to. But if I feel like it, if I feel up to it, I might just do a little watercolor of the same scene. So we'll see how it goes. And if we do, you'll see it in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye for now. Gotta say, I am absolutely amazed at just how popular a destination Derek Jarman's cottage really is. I have not seen a break in the numbers of people that have just rocked up here in their cars. Some have gone inside, I guess by appointment, and others have just walked around, taken photographs, admired what is and what was. and yeah, it's just almost an unbroken chain of people. I've been doing my painting trying to avoid people as I go. But it's really quite interesting. But I'm really pleased because I think there's been a lot of effort from local residents to purchase this property for the prosperity, not just of the location and the people of Dungeness, but also for the UK, because it's a very important, Derek Jarman is a very important filmmaker and person. So yeah, I think it is good. I'm glad it's being looked at, and I'm glad there is a massive amount of interest in the property. There goes another train. Alright, I'm going to get and have this before it burns, and I'll catch you all very, very soon. Okay, there you go, one toasty sarnie. Now it looks a bit burnt, but hopefully it's fine. But I'm going to enjoy it. So I'll catch you all soon. Hey everybody, well, I've just eaten my last mouthful of my lunch, and I was starting to think about getting ready to do a watercolor for you. I've just done the oil, and I would like to do a watercolor, but as you can see, the heavens have opened, the weather has closed in, and it's now raining hard. It may have just eased off a bit, but it keeps coming and going. Hopefully over the next half hour it may stop. Fingers crossed that it does, and then I can maybe get this watercolor done. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'm just going to have to do my plan B, and that is just pack up, tidy up and go home. Okay everybody, well, I did stick it out. The rain has passed over, although I see another lot on its way in, so I don't know how much of this we're going to get done. On top of which, I realise I actually left all my paintbrushes at home, so I've managed to scramble around all my bits of kit and find a couple of crude pieces. Not, these aren't crude, but these certainly are crude, so I've got no idea what's going to happen. Anyway, let's go for it and let's see what happens. So first and foremost, I'm going to do a quick sort of sketch of the building. I'm probably going to take that a little higher, say through there. Okay, so what I'm doing is putting in a fairly light sketch to start with. I'm using a 4B pencil, and I'm checking on the elevations, making sure the pitch of the roof are identical pretty much, and generally putting in my shapes so that if I need to come back, I can either erase them if they're not quite right, or refine them and deepen them if I need to. Now the water will take a lot of the graphite off when I start adding that to the painting, and the front garden is fairly loosely scribbled in. It's just the salient points and mainly the building itself that need to be fairly accurately portrayed before I go and add watercolor to this paper. Lots of bits and pieces here. Go back to this gorse. We're coming around with the shape of that. Just starting to rain again. That's going to cause me a problem, I think. I've got the drawing done. I may have to take a photograph and finish this painting at home, having just done the drawing. But at least you've got something if that happens. But I do apologize wholeheartedly that I have sort of been thwarted by bad camera work in the morning and the weather in the afternoon. Let's not go any further with this. Let's just come in, and I'm going to use some of this old paint up on here and sort of suggest. Now, sorry, I didn't actually say I'm on £300 rough paper from I think it's Arsh. But I'm not going to worry too much about my colours. I think the rain is going to do more damage than I can ever do with a paintbrush. I'm going to come all the way down here and probably all the way through the roof here. Just dropping in the odd little bit of colour, maybe a little bit of violet. It's very, very rainy. And let that dry off a little bit. While I'm waiting for that to dry off, then I'm going to come in here and just drop in what I think will be an ideal colour for some of our stones in here. So that's all I need to do for that, and I can add to that as I want to. I'm going to pop in a little bit more warmth into this, let that sort of play around and go where it wants to. Okay, now I'm going to use some reds. I'm going to mix up some vermilion and some orange. I just want to start dropping some of that in to some of these colours here. Because I'm rather glad that I left my brushes at home, because all I had to use pretty much was this Hake brush, and it was Ron Ranson that made this type of brush his own, with all the many marvelous tutorials that he created and the books that he had written in the past on using the Hake brush with his watercolors. Now I've got to say, it makes you loose and it allows some of that paint to flow and just create some wonderful shapes and sort of fusions of color within the whole vista of the painting itself. And it is a really wonderful brush to get to grips with. Okay, so we've got a beautiful set of colors going on down here, and I'm going to bring in a little bit of a brighter colour of green through here to just accent down against these colours. And they may not be true to the scene exactly, but I think they'll work. Once all this is dry, then we can do more. Quite like that cloud, but I think some of it's a little heavy, so I'm just going to gently take some of that out, let some of that go away, as it were. Just soften some of these edges. Touched all around there, so I can't really do much there at the moment. I'm going to have to be a lot more patient than I am. So I'm going to work on some of the flowers. I'm going to come back in with some of this lovely ultramarine violet and just play around with tapping in. Okay, so just a few pointers on using the Hake brush, and some people also call it the Hake. In fact, I used to call it that before I realized I was probably mispronouncing it, but I think the brush is a Japanese Hake, and that's the real title of the brush. But I'm using it in such a way that if you use the corner or the tips, you can put some very delicate marks in, such as the flowers and the colors that I'm putting in. Now, by turning the brush around, I can cover much bigger areas, as I'm demonstrating now with the dark colors on the roof of the building. Now, incidentally, I should have said this at the start, I did actually spray the colors ahead of using them, so that they were a little softer, especially with this big old brush going into them. So I'm just mixing up a bit of a dark grungy green that I can start putting into some of these lower areas of the gorse, and I'm sort of tipping away that the gorse is in this sort of shape. It's got those spiky sets of leaves that will support the flowers later on in the season. Now the surface is somewhat dry, I can use the Hake again with a little bit more precise movement with the edges, tapping the brush one way then another to keep the points or the corners working for me and in my favor with all the different colors. It's raining again, I just feel it, so this may be as far as I get with this. I hope not. Just want to get in a little bit more information. I think the gods of whatever are not with us now. I think we're going to lose this battle. On the side of this building, I think I'm going to have to pull this out and into safety. It's going to lose. It's already getting wet too much. It's pushing my luck. Another 10 or 15 minutes and we would have been absolutely done. Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back to my very warm and dry studio. Now, as many of you will know, that when I got to painting this watercolour as a plein air at Prospect Cottage in Dungeness on Sunday, unfortunately I got so far with it almost to the end, but the rains came and said, no more chap, that's it, you're done for the day. And I had to run and grab everything and put it in the van and just cut my losses and come home, and that's it. I did make a vow to myself that I would go back in the studio and finish this painting for you guys to enjoy and get to see how it did end up. Okay, so the painting is still in my plein air mask, my plastic mask that I put around the paper. It saves taping down and it's still clamped up, so it really shouldn't have moved, and hopefully that will have done the job I need it to do. So first and foremost, then I need to make a bit of a dark. So let's go back into mixing up some of this dark matter. I'm going to come in with some, this is a Payne's Grey, and I'm going to put that to a bit of neutral tint to that. I want quite a thick mix. Although I've got access to my brushes now, I felt that as I started with the Harke brush, I would try as much as I could to end with it, twisting and turning those tips and edges to my advantage as I do around the windows. You see I'm turning the brush. You see when you use it, it starts to bend ever so slightly to one way of the direction that you're pulling the brush. So it starts to, they're very sort of soft hairs in a way. They will bend almost breathing on them. So if you want that like that, you keep using it like that, you're going to get a much broader mark. If you turn it over, then for a short while you've got a chisel mark again. Until you keep doing it, then it will bend the other way. You just flick it again. So it does work, and it is quite handy for that. Now I'm going to come in the windows. Once that's dry, I'm going to come into those windows and quite simply pop in some of the window panes. So remember, in the oil version we actually did the windows first and then we come across with the window frames after. But in watercolor, of course, we are working the opposite way. We're working from light to dark. Just going to put in that telegraph pole as it comes down to there, something like that. It's quite fascinating how the edge of the Harke can create a straight line without it actually being a straight line. But at this point I felt that the darks needed an extra layer of dark, so that's what I started to do at this point, and that would leave a nice light area for the text on the side of the building to be put in later on. It is. Right, now then, while that's setting up, because the last job I really got to do are the window panes to finish this painting, is I'm going to put in a little more colour. Why not? At this point I changed down to a smaller brush and a rigger just to suggest a few of the flower heads that are in the garden. Just the cheek of it. I'll tell you what I'm going to do also. I'm going to put in some smoke for the light railway. Now down on this angle you can't really see any trains going past. There's quite a built up piece of shingle bank behind here, but you certainly do see the smoke plume from a train that is passing by. So I'm going to suggest that having wet that area up, and soften it somewhat. It would dissipate and not be so strong at such a high altitude as that, but strongest at the base of the plume, just there. So drop in a little bit more dark at the base, and you've got yourself a train going past. All fun. Okay, so what I'm doing quite quickly is a few scribbles to suggest the lines of text, and I am following perspective as I do this, but you cannot see me paint any words. I'm also now carefully applying or suggesting the panes of glass in each of the windows and the doors. I'm counting carefully and not trying to go too fast so that I don't mess up the overall effect. Although I do go back in and refine some of those shapes so they look a little bit more like window panes on that yellow background and not just circles. I wanted to try and refine those shapes so that it looked a little bit more as they should. It's quite a dull, it's not a big terracotta statement, but I just want to put in the colour of the two pots on top of the property, which is ultramarine violet, which is just beautiful colour. Maybe a little bit more. I want it quite strong, and I'm just going to come in and to suggest a few the Viper's blue gloss in here. These beautiful plants. Now the rain and the damp meant that I lost a lot of my lovely Viper's blue gloss that I put in on the Dungeness retreat when I was actually painting this to begin with. So I put a little bit of that back in, a few of the statues, and I couldn't resist it, but I also ended up putting a few seagulls in for good measure. And I do hope that despite the fact this was not finished in the field, that you enjoyed the process, enjoyed the winding up of this picture and the way that it looks. Okay everybody, one watercolor painting of Mr. Jarman's Prospect Cottage in Dungeness, and I got to say, almost a complete plein air. Well, we know the story behind that one, but I had a heap of fun painting it, and I really do hope you guys got something from it as well. Now, whether you are into van life and painting from your van at different times, or whether you're a plein air artist, or indeed just a watercolorist or an oil painter, I'm sure there's something in this video that would have given you a little bit of a tip or a help somewhere as a bit of guidance. But if not, I hope you just enjoyed the whole film and everything that I went through to put it together and create something I hope was mildly entertaining for you. But if that's the case and you feel that I have earned your subscription, then please subscribe to the channel and add any comments you want to. I'll always answer them. And if you want to see more of the content, then click the like or the bell icon, but when the drop down comes in, click that notification tab. It will let you know as and when I upload a new video, and it's not all that often on this channel because I have so many other hats to wear with my gallery, with my wildlife art painting, and my Patreon, and my teaching in class, and all these different things that are sort of constantly being juggled each and every week. So I don't get the chance to get out in Clarabelle as I might, but now she's all complete, shipshape in Bristol fashion, I might just get out there a little bit more often. But if you click that notification tab, it will at least tell you when my latest video is or has been uploaded. Now, whilst I'm saying all of that, if you are interested in wildlife painting, then I have a wonderful channel which is my wildlife art channel, Paul App's Wildlife Art, and on there are loads of new videos coming up all about painting and wildlife, or painting wildlife in a variety of different media. And before that, for the preceding years, there are loads and loads and loads of watercolor tutorials on there to be enjoyed as well. So it's well worth getting into that channel and subscribing to that one as well, if you'd be so kind. Always helps it reach much more of an audience. And at the same time, if you like wildlife, then check out the Patreon. It's there, and it has a brand new full-length tutorial on wildlife painting each and every month. It only costs you $10. There are many hours of not only, I hope, entertainment, but also good instruction, good tutorials to help you out. And it again is on different media, from watercolor to oil, pastels there are in there, as well as acrylics, and the most recent one I think is a gouache, or will be. So check it out, and I'd love to have you on board. And then in the meantime, I'm going to start thinking about where I'm going to go next with Clarabelle, what I'm going to paint, and I hope you guys will join me for the ride and have a bit of fun, see what I get up to, and hopefully not too much trouble. So until that time, I look forward to your company in the next video. Take care, everybody. All the best for now. Stay safe wherever you are. Bye bye.